Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast, a hybrid structure encompassing health, fitness, self-improvement, and entertainment, where no topic is off limits and all opinions are graciously welcomed.
Let's get on with the show!
And now, here's the host of the show, Mike Sinopoli.
This is the MFS Wellness Podcast. I am Mike Sinopoli, and it is the new year officially. It is 2024. We are here in early January, and that means the resolutions are underway, and you are likely back at work. And that's what the premise of this podcast is going to be about, how to implement a new diet or training routine or both through your work schedule and through all the different types. And it's not going to be one of those one-size-fits-all kind of things like anything else. It's individualized per person, per job, per industry, and all of that. So that's going to be one thing. It's impossible to cover every little detail because a job is not just, working from home or 9 to 5 or outside sales or traveling all over. It's all of that, but it also kind of comes down to the type of work that's being done, the amount of time that's needed, the amount of concentration that's needed, the type of boss somebody might have. These all kind of play a role in what type of work-life balance you can achieve. And I think that's kind of something that's being more recognized as work-life balance. I think we had such a big, with a boomer society, they came up and they were raised by depressionary parents. So they saw the struggle of that generation. And I believe they went ahead and took on a crazy, insane work ethic, which I think is good and bad. But hey, that's the times. They saw the struggle. They wanted opportunity, or maybe their parents worked so hard through that time to help create these opportunities for this boomer generation who kind of gets, joked about a lot. And I get it. They're the older generation now in society. So, a lot of people look at boomers as out of touch and out of line with a lot of things. And I can see that. And that happens with any generation. That's not to attack somebody that is a baby boomer. But if you think about it, times have changed a lot. I don't think we're getting rewarded for our work as much as we used to. I don't think compensations is fair at this point. I don't believe in communism. Don't worry about that. I do like the structure we have to where you can put up enough effort and do your own thing, create your own business, do your own work and be rewarded and compensated for it. And I like that. I think whoever puts the most in, the smartest work, the hardest work should be rewarded as such. And, if you're not, you're not. You're not entitled to what somebody else has done. That's just my view on it. And that's going to stay. But I do agree with some work-life balance, because what good is all this work and accruing all this money that is becoming more difficult to accrue based on the inflation? But what is the benefit of it if you're going to have a shitty internal alarm going off in you? You're going to sever relationships with your family, and you're going to be unhealthy, and you're going to end up dying young because of stress, because you let yourself go, because of obesity, just because of a job. And it's not easy to do. And it's one of the main struggles I had for years, and it still is. And it's also a struggle for clients I've worked with. And it's all going to be varying because, we all have different, jobs and bosses and everything like that. So, I can't cover it all. I can't sit there and do all of it because everything's individualized. So you have to take your situation and apply it as best you can. So there's lots of different types of jobs. One thing that's kind of come to more of the mainstream and more acceptance in society is working from home, working remotely, especially through that COVID stuff. That really became more accepted. And I think that's a great thing. I really do. I believe in working from home. I believe it's so many benefits to it. And I'm a huge fan of it, mainly because I've been in the office space for a long time, in the office world, and I had seen a lot of drama, been through a lot of bad personalities, seen a lot of micromanaging going on through that. And I know you can still micromanage virtually, but at the same time, it's nice to see that this is becoming an option for people. And a lot of the pros to that when it comes to your diet or anything else is that you have more time to commute. Not because you're not commuting, I should say. You're not commuting, so you have extra time, which is wonderful. You can go to the gym on your lunch break, provided you don't have a micromanager up your ass, which is never fun. You can get up and walk around whenever without some sort of BS judgment at you or some sort of accusation of you not working because you wanted to just stretch your legs and maybe take 500 steps. Not a bad idea. And you have the availability of your own kitchen when you work from home. What a great idea that is. Like just, you have all your food prepped, you just heat it up. Maybe you can use your stove a little bit and you can just kind of make yourself a solid meal. And you're just going to go back to work feeling even better than you would having to run out to go grab Wendy's or McDonald's or some garbage that isn't even fit for human consumption. So some cons though to working from home. You can still be idle, you can go stir crazy, and you might end up in a worse place because you have the food at home and you may have poor food. Like your pantry might be full of junk, and then you're just snacking more because you have an abundance of food sitting around in the house. So those are some of the things working from home, the pros and cons on that. But there's really not an excuse working from home, in my opinion, to not implement a good diet, because you can Tupperware all the food you need, put it in your fridge, reheat it. And, there's nobody coming in. There's no vendors coming in, bringing in Danishes and tempting you. There's no lunches that you're required to go to and all of that. There's no temptations for that the office is getting lunch for the third time this week from some fast food restaurant or some crappy sandwich like Jimmy John's that doesn't even put anything on their sandwiches because they're gross. But that is really how to get around it working from home. So there's not a lot to talk about working from home because I think that's just an easy one. Like, you should be doing it. You should be able to do it. I really believe in that. And it's hard. But you know what? At that point, if you're working from home and you're not doing it, it's just because you don't want to. That's the bottom line. It's just at that point, you just don't want to do it. And you need your job isn't the cause of you not being successful with your health and fitness. It's coming from somewhere else, which usually it is. It's a combination of things. But here we're going to go ahead and work around that. So not much to say for working from home. You prep your food, cook your food, have it ready to go, know what it is. You got your digital food scale at home, use it. Go from there, go to the gym on your lunch break afterward, whenever you can. Done. So now probably the most common type of job, the 8 to 5, the 9 to 5, maybe retail, something that has a shift where you're stuck at a desk or a register or somewhere where you just can't really move. That's where you got to be. You got to be answering phones. You have to be talking to customers. You can't be taking breaks at will. So, the cons to that is, you probably get a short lunch break. There's no kitchen available to you. You're probably somewhat idle, just kind of sitting there or standing there. The good news is it's structured. So you kind of know probably, hey, these are my work hours. I can fit my prep. I can fit my food in here and there. I can bring my lunch, things like that. So when you work in an 8 to 5, 9 to 5 office setting, let's just say, one thing you have to know is there's going to be temptations incessantly coming at you food-wise. Whether somebody's bringing in food for you, you're going to be told to go out to lunch many times, asked to go out to lunch many times. Ultimately, no one can put food in you. In your body without you doing it yourself. You are in control of that. It's your body and your choice to go ahead and put in whatever food you'd like. And people are going to have their opinions. I'll share a couple with you right now from my days working 8 to 5 in an office setting. Very miserable for me. Not my type of work, something that I choose not to do. I mean, if I have to, I'll go back and do that, but I choose not to commute, drive to a place, sit there all day, and drive home in the dark. And it's just very depressing structure for me. One time I was, I would go to the office and I was known, to, hey, Mike brings his food, Mike's Mr. Fitness guy. You get a little bit of flack, right? If you're someone who's into fitness, you know what I'm talking about. You know that bullshit you get, that fit shaming, I almost call it, where they kind of say, oh, look at you eating healthy. Why, Mr. Healthy guy eating fish. You know what? Fine. Screw you. Just say your piece. I know it's just making you feel bad. That's what happens when people say that to you, when they say, hey, any kind of shade they throw at you or any kind of like little jab they throw at you about you doing something healthy, you doing something good for yourself. If they have something to say, they're jealous. That's the bottom line. They feel insecure and they do not feel good about themselves. Therefore, they must make a little joke or even break you down a little bit, try to get you down to their level, whether they know they're doing it or not. One time I was heating up my food in a lunchroom and simple meal. It was actually not even like super healthy anything. It was like, healthy is a subjective word at this point, in my opinion, but it's a burrito bowl. I had ground beef, cheese, I had lettuce, I had vegetables, I had avocado, hot sauce, sour cream or Greek yogurt, whatever it was. It's just this big bowl and I was heated up and I'd eat it at my desk at lunch or wherever, or in the lunchroom, wherever it was. And a coworker walks in looks at me while I'm heating up my food and putting it together. And she goes, "Oh, are you eating your weird food again?" I've told this story before on the podcast, but I just can't unsee this one. And I just looked over and I'm like, yeah. And she was throwing away a bag of McDonald's at the same time. So I was eating my weird food while she was disposing of her non-weird food, which was a greasy bag of McDonald's. So as you can see, there is a little bit of mental conditioning that's being done in our society, not on purpose, not conspiracy-wise. It's just how we've evolved. This is the way we eat. It's so go get a quick meal because you got to get back to work. Fuck all that. You know what? Fine. If that's your rules, cool. I'll play by them, but I'm going to make my own quick food and do it that way. And I'm going to eat what I want to eat. And I don't have to go to your fast food establishments. And if I choose to, it's on my own. Because another thing, too, I'll tell you, they don't understand that you've got it locked down when you got your food locked down. One time, they had pizza at the office, and I went ahead and I had it. I said, you know what? Screw it. I feel like having fucking pizza today. I'm going to have a few slices. So sure enough, but I wasn't able to do that without hearing it. So I would go into the lunchroom. I grabbed a few slices of pizza. I stood there eating it, and a few people would walk in, and even the CEO of the company walking, "Oh, look at you eating human food today." Human food, right? Pizza is human food. What I make for myself with a solid 50 grams of protein and a bunch of vegetables, that's not human food. That's mental illness. You're eating too healthy. You're not like us. It's weird. And one time they were doing a lunch and learn. What a scam that is. I don't like that because my lunch break is not just for eating. It's actually for disconnecting from work for a minute, if I can. I know the busy person, everyone wants to be busy. Everyone has to brag about being busy. That's another part of this thing that pisses me off. Everyone's in a competition to be the busiest because they're a martyr and they need to be fucking coddled because I'm so busy, or I'm doing this because I'm so busy. It's like a victim mentality when you're trying to sit there and you have to talk about how busy you are all the time and prove to people that you're busy. That's a victim mentality. You want them to feel sorry for you. That's what that is when you complain or talk about how busy you are. I don't do that. I just, if I'm busy, I'm busy. That's it. Is what it is. But I'm going to get my shit done and handle it. But where was I going with this? I totally just went on a tangent there. But so one time I'm in a meeting and they were doing Jimmy John's lunch and learn. That's where I was going. Fucking lunch and learns. Total scam. But anyways, I'm not going to be a non-team player. I freaking hate the term team player, right? So I'm not going to go risk not being a team player, even though they look at me as not a team player by not eating the same food as them, some of them. So they do a lunch and learn. That's basically where they're going to buy you lunch, but they're going to have a meeting during lunch. So, that's your little reward so they can keep you in there longer. So we would do our little lunch and learn, and they were getting Jimmy John's, those boxed lunches. And I don't like Jimmy John's at all, and I don't really care, and I didn't really want it. So I had my food already, and I was like, no, I'm good. I'll pass. So I went up ahead when everyone broke a little bit to go take a piss or whatever they had to do, and they distributed the sandwiches. I went and heated up my food like I normally would, and I came back into the office room, into the conference room, and I sat down for the lunch and learn, and I ate my own food. But, of course, not without some weird looks, not without some sort of goofy ass comment of, "Oh, look at you have to do." It's just they think that you're being better than them, and you know what? You're just doing what's right for yourself. So the 9 to 5 thing, you got to bring your own lunch. You have to start bringing your own food. That's what I'm getting at. Prep your food on Sunday or Saturday or when you have time. Make it easy. Don't make it too elaborate. Just do it so it's there. It can be reheated and done. And then that is one way to go ahead and do it. That is just it. And then if you can, if you have a little bit of freedom, get up and walk around a little bit. Maybe try to get, 6,000-7,000 steps while you're at work in some fashion, if it's possible. And then do the rest while you're at the gym later after work or before work, if you want to get to your 10,000 step goal or get some more movement in. That's what I would do. So have your food ready. That's the main thing. That's really all you can do is have your food ready. Count it out beforehand. Know what you're eating. Know what's there. And then just resist these temptations and resist this peer pressure, resist people's unconscious need to break you down and have you conform into their pit of misery. Bottom line, that's the best advice. Like I said, I can get into so much detail here, but because it's so it's so different for everybody else. I'm just going to kind of high level it a little bit, or else I'll be talking forever. So outside sales would be the next kind of job, or some sort of local traveling. Maybe you're installing things. Maybe you're a realtor. Maybe you're, whatever you're doing where you're actually in your car going from place to place. You have freedom, but you have places to be, meetings to get to. This is the type of work I have done the most. And it takes some skill, it takes some creativity and discipline to do well, because you have no kitchen. You're fucked with the kitchen unless you're going to be working in your home area and you can get home. That's one way. There's lots of lunches out. You're gonna get hungry in the middle of the day if you don't make your food and bring it with you. You're gonna go to places out to eat. This is where I'm at right now with my job. I mean, I'm doing pretty well bringing my own when I'm by myself, but if I'm with my coworkers, we're going out to lunch. Is the way it is. So that's where we have to learn. This outside sales role is one of the key roles, job types that need to know how to eat well at restaurants and do as best they can. With restaurants, you're always just doing your best. You're not necessarily going to be accurate, because the counts, even on the sites that have the calories and macro counts, aren't going to be accurate. They're going to be a little off. They're not weighing and measuring your food. They're not doing it for your health. Restaurants are there to sell you value, taste, and ambiance and service. And that will never change and shouldn't, because that's why we go to restaurants, and that is their business. They are not here to make you healthy. They're there for repeat business and to, enjoy your food. That's what they're there for. So my best advice for an outside sales rep or a realtor or anyone who's traveling around doing, maybe trades or anything like that, I would go ahead and pack a lunch, just like the 9-to-5ers. Pack that food in a cooler case or something like that. Like I have a cooler bag. I throw an ice pack in there, wrap up 100 grams of protein somehow in there in some way, get it in there. Understand that you can go to a gas station. I did a post on this and grab for like $14-15. You can get 100 grams of protein in just by a bar, a shake, and some beef jerky. It's not the best ideal food, but if you're really like, hey, I need something, it's got to move fast, but I don't want to fuck up everything and I want to hit my protein target, there you go. There's 100 grams for not too much money. That's another way to go. With outside sales, you have some freedom, like I said, so you can potentially go to the gym on a lunch break, eat in your car before or after that. Bring a bag, bring some change of clothes, bring a towel and some soap, and take a shower when you're done. Get your work clothes back on and do the rest of your meetings. However it works. Some days it works, some days it doesn't. It just depends on the day. With outside sales, a lot of the time, it's also not very structured. So you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants, and that type of mentality can make you just take your diet and your training and throw it right to the back of your brain, and it just sits there and it just gets out of control. So that's also the best. It always comes down to bringing your own food. That's what it really comes down to any of these jobs. That's number one. Making your own food, bringing it, committing to it, not giving into any peer pressure, and limiting the amount of times you go out to eat. Not saying never do it, but limit it. And I like to use like a food value thing. This is going back even the 9-to-5. So like if they were to bring in Domino's pizza, okay, I've eaten that crap before. It's nothing special. Pass on that. But if they kind of bring in, hey, maybe there's a new pizza joint that opened up a few blocks away and they're going to order that. You've been wanting to try it. You heard good things. Okay, that might be a day to say, you know what, I'm going to have a few slices of this pizza because it's worth it to me. I get the new experience, try something, I'm going to enjoy it, and then I'll know if I like it. Great way to go. And then you didn't spend any money on it because the company bought it. So that's a fine way to go. And you can still adjust your macros and your counts for the day to incorporate a small amount of pizza. Not a lot, because that shit adds up like crazy, but it can be done. So that's kind of where you thread the needle with not being deprived. A lot of times, all this I'm saying is for not if you're going to feel deprived. That's it. You have to figure out how to not feel deprived. So yeah. So with outside sales, bring your stuff, know where to go, understand how to eat. At restaurants, it can vary. There is benefit to looking at the calorie counts if they're available on the menus or on their websites, because even if it's not right, you can assume that one that's labeled 500 calories is going to be lighter than one that's labeled 1,200. It's just true. It might not be the exact numbers, but those do hold value in that case. So I would look at it, and it can help you make a decision. And I think it's well worth it. There's been a lot of times that those calorie counts have just thwarted me from something that I maybe thought was going to be a great decision, and it wasn't. Take Texas Roadhouse, for example. The chicken salad from there is 810 calories without dressing. That's a lot. That's half of a woman's calories. That's about a third of mine. And that's, it's crazy. So, and then that's before the dressing's thrown on. And the ranches, if you order the ranch right on it, it says it right on the site. It's 400 calories. So now you're looking at 1,200 calories for a salad. So you got to be careful out there. It's tough. So just know your food as best you can. Hit your protein target. Bring your food along. Go for a walk if you can. Sometimes if you're in outside sales, you can stop at a forest preserve for a minute, take a 20-minute walk in nature, clear your head a little bit, get some steps in, and go. So there's ways around it to do it. So, and then I think the toughest job that I'm at least listing here would be the domestic or world traveler. I've done this. I spent about a year where I was on a plane, felt like every other week on an airplane. And boy, you want to talk about not eating well. That was some of the worst diet I've ever had in my life. I'm only now at places. I'm only grabbing and going. I'm drinking. I'm having cocktails with clients. That's what it's all about. I mean, one of my job, one of the requirements was to set dinners and cocktail meetings with clients. That was my job, to do that. So therefore, I'm at all these different events, and I'm eating and drinking my face off because I'm just is what I'm doing. And then I lose sight of it. And to be honest with you, I wasn't happy doing that. So what did I do? I ended up drinking, like in my room and like at bars and things like that, just to like, holy shit, I gotta like decompress here. I would drink more, and I would eat, and you're tired, you're traveling. I would order Chinese food in my hotel room. I would order room service. I would just, that it sucked. I mean, there's ways around it, obviously. Like just like the outside sales rep, you have to know what to eat and how to order from restaurants to hit your goal and do the right thing. And as far as working out goes, you have to be really disciplined and work with what the hotel gym has, or maybe you have a pass like Anytime Fitness or some type of commercial gym that's available everywhere, and you can have that. That's one thing I would do if I was to ever go back in that role, which I will not, because I don't think it's healthy for my family and for my kids, I should say. But if I ever was, I would have, and I do go to Anytime Fitness now, and I have access to any of the clubs. So I would definitely be sure that I was able to go there and do that. And I also know, bringing along snacks that can travel well, like protein bars, beef jerky, things like that, some shakes maybe, and you can grab those anywhere and kind of have those in your room, stock the room with high protein food. So you can hit that. And that's really what it comes down to. Try to walk a lot if you're traveling. If you got some downtime, go walk around a new city. So those are kinds of things you can do. And that's how I would do it if I was to do it again. But I remember being unhappy doing that, feeling very disconnected from my reality. This was before I had kids. It was like the year before. So, and I knew we were going to have kids. So I said, I don't know about this. And I was at the Atlanta airport, and I made the decision there basically to not do this any longer. I was on a flight delay out of Atlanta back home to Chicago. And I sat at a bar, of course, and drank, because that's what we did. And a gentleman from across the bar looked over at me, came over and said, "Hey, I saw you on the flight in." So he struck up a conversation with me. We talked. He was, I was only like 29 at this time, and he was probably in his early 50s, I'd say. And he gave me some advice that really hit hard to me. And he told me about his life in outside sales, how he spent the last 30 years traveling around and doing everything, and how he has an estranged relationship with his kids. He's divorced, and all of this negativity around his job. He's like, I got all this money, but no one really do anything with it. So he's like, you got to make sure it's really for you. So this guy really, as a guy, it's random, like total random bar conversation. He was probably drunk, and it's just really sunk into me. Of course, I'm getting divorced anyways, but whatever. I mean, that's just inevitable. But no worries on that end. But either way, I'm glad I stopped doing that, because the amount of time I would have missed with my kids would have been significant. And and there's no knock on anyone that does it. It's not a knock at you. Everyone's a little different. Everyone has different preferences. And quite honestly, overall, kids aside, I didn't want to keep hopping on planes and staying in hotel rooms and hosting dinners with clients and people. It just wasn't for me, that extensiveness of it. It was fun, and I'm glad I did it because I got to see a lot of cool places that I may have never been to at this point. So no regrets at all. It was a good learning experience. It was the right time to do it, right before kids, and I have no problem having done it. So, but to eat and diet around that, it's and train. That's just what you got to do. It needs the most discipline of all, because you're going to be around no kitchen most likely, unless you can get yourself in hotels that have the full kitchens and you can go grocery shopping, and you can do it. It can be done. It's about getting in that routine and doing it. It really all does come down to that. So you have to just be more disciplined. The further you are from home, the more discipline you need. But even when you're at home, you need the most discipline, because that's where you house most of the food. So it really all just comes down to what's in your head and what's going on. There's other types of jobs like the trades. I've never done the trades. I've never done delivery. I've done food service and been a server. That's another one that can get a little dangerous too. Yes, you're on your feet all the time, but you don't get a lot of breaks. And if you do, you're probably eating the food at the restaurant, or else, like I've said 15 times in this, bring your own food, no matter how weird people think it is. A lot of times, food service servers, bartenders, they'll work late hours. And, when you get done with that, you sometimes don't eat well when it's late. So, just more discipline. That's it. So that's kind of it. I'm not going to keep going here with this one, because it really just comes down to a few key things, and to rehash all of my rambling into a very short, concise piece of information. Know your calories, know your macronutrients, make food you like, bring it with you, prep it at home. It doesn't have to be one of those glamorous spreads that you see on Instagram of food all spread out, perfectly done in Tupperwares. You can just make your proteins and some carbs, pasta, rice, chicken, beef, whatever it is, have it ready to go. Pack that up. Have more convenient stuff. If you want to do turkey slices or some shit like that, do that. Protein bars are good. Shakes, Greek yogurts, things like that. Just make sure that you're knowing what you're putting in your body. That's the bottom line. You need to ignore people's comments. Most people aren't going to compliment you. Some might, actually, believe it or not. They might compliment your dedication, which is nice. But either way, it doesn't matter. It's not going to do anything. So you just ignore that and get yourself to where you can just strategically find ways to stay more active than just idly sitting in front of a screen for 9+ hours at a time. Because that can get exhausting in itself, and it's very hard to get to a gym after that. I've done it. I've had my struggles, and it's tough to get to a gym after sitting around all day. And around 2:30, you start just wanting to put your face down on the desk, and you're done. So these are the kinds of things that happen. Just kind of commit to a schedule, a routine, bring shit with you, and that's it. That is it. That is all you can do, and that's just the determination it's going to take, the discipline it's going to take. Because work isn't going to go anywhere. Don't do that thing where you're going to wait for some downtime or wait for it to get less busy at work, because when it gets less busy at work and you think you can, okay, now I'm going to go and do this, what happens when it gets busy again? Then you're not prepared. You need to be, it's best, I think, to start up some shit for yourself when it's the most busy. Because if you can do it when your job is most hectic, you're going to be able to do it when it's not the other way around. When it slows down, okay, good, I'm on this pace. Now what happens when all the fires start and you got to put them all out? Then, diet gets forgotten again, and it becomes a low priority by accident. So, if you need any more individualized help with this, you can contact me on Instagram. It's at MFS Wellness, or email mike@mfswellness.com. Work is very important to kind of put into what you do. It's even on my sheet, my intake sheet, what type of job you have, what's your activity level and the type of job you have, because that matters on how much you're moving around, how idle you are, and that's going to determine your calories and your macros for a deficit for fat loss. So that's all playing a role. So just know that, and know that you're able to do it around your job. It can be done. There's going to be so many barriers. There's going to be so many temptations. There's going to be so many little snickering comments at you, and there's going to be so many people who doubt you, and you just got to not listen to them. Just remember what you're doing it for. Remember why you started. That's all I can say. Remember, work is going nowhere. You're going to have to generate income in some fashion, and you're going to have to take care of yourself. We treat our jobs like it's the only one we'll ever have. We treat our bodies like we can go to the store and buy a new one. We just do. And it's insane to see that. You only get one set of legs. You only get one set of arms. You only get one heart, one brain, minus a transplant, which you never want to go through. But you only get one. People are out there living their lives, like they can just reset and they get extra lives like it's a video game. You don't. This is it. This is the one body you get. This is the one shot you got at life. And that's all you can do is your very best. Understand that and treat yourself with some damn respect because you deserve it. And that's just the way it goes. Remember, this shit is not a punishment. This is self-respect. Don't worry about how hard everyone's going to make it. That's just going to give you even more satisfaction when you reach your goals. Bottom line. And don't let them see you fail, because all those people that want to laugh at you for bringing your own food, all the people that want to make fun of you for walking around the building because you want to get some steps in, let them make fun of you, because one day they're going to come to you and they're going to say, okay, I need help now. I just went to the doctor and I got this and that, and this is the problem. And now I don't like how I look in the mirror and blah, blah, blah. And then they're going to come to you and ask you for help. And if they never do, let them just wallow in their own pit of misery and self-pity, bottom line, because they don't understand it yet. They don't get it. And they just are so self-absorbed. That's a just generate a reaction that they feel attacked by your success. Your discipline hurts their insides. So like I said, I gave you my contact info. This is the first one of the year. I got another episode coming up next week. Marcy Nevin's coming on. She's a nice nutrition coach, personal trainer. She does a lot. She's an interesting person who posts some great stuff on social media. So we're going to talk to her. We're going to go over 9 steps that she kind of came up with that shouldn't be badges of honor. So it's very interesting what she puts together, and I'm excited to talk about it. So until we hit that episode, I'd like to thank everyone again for listening, and I appreciate it. And, going into 2024 here, going to look to keep growing this thing and see where it goes. And you know what? I don't really care how big it gets. I just love doing it, and I love the feedback I get from who's listening. And we'll just see where it goes. It's just one of those things, So I hope everyone has a very happy new year and lots of success. And if I can help you, please reach out. Until the next episode, we will talk to you then.